Hey guys, it's Adam aka Swimming Bird, and welcome to the Minecraft 1.9. Geez, that is a ton of snapshot features to catch up on. Holiday Extravaganza Special. Join me please as we quickly run down the last month and a half of Minecraft 1.9 updates, including snapshots 15W, 45A, 46A, 47A, B, and C, 49A and B, 50A, and special guest star 51A and B. Now, before we get into all the new features, like how much cuter bunny rabbits are, I did want to cover some news. So 1.9 will not be releasing until after the holidays into 2016. The developers really don't want to put out a new update during vacation time and have it be super buggy and players complain, so they're going to hold off a little longer, likely January or February. But in the meantime, Minecraft for Wii U just launched out of nowhere. We got a new console edition. Now, it does have a few unique features compared to the others. You can play on the gamepad and on the TV with two different players at the same time, so kind of like a little split screen mode there. That's nice. And also, the gamepad has a few limited touchscreen interactivity features for crafting and inventory management. Now, while we wait for 1.9, we did get 1.8.9, and this was mainly to have better integration with Minecraft Realms. They've been offering deals and all this stuff to try to get people to try Realms for the holidays, and there's an options menu notification where you can toggle off Realms stuff as well, but they mainly wanted to make sure they fixed the trap chests for the holidays because these would not have the little present texture for Christmas that they normally have, so we had to put out another update for that. Now, let's get into the new features. Quiet, little baby dinner bone. You're going to get coal in your stocking this year, in your leather boots, or maybe the doo-doo cat coal. Okay, let's get into it. So there has been tons of performance optimizations across the board, so the game should run a lot better in 1.9 for most players. They tweaked tons of little things about mob, monster, animal, all these little guys. Their AI and pathfinding is much better. They will now jump in the water when they're on fire more often, at least the monsters will, and they will look out for cacti and go through passable blocks more often now. And a good thing with monster infighting, if you like this sort of stuff, I'm going to go into survival and you guys will see this skeleton will shoot the zombie, and guess what? The zombie will actually fight back now. So a lot of monsters will now defend themselves, mostly against skeletons or other creatures that shoot out projectiles, like skeletons and blazes and things like that. So zombies, zombie pigmen, slimes, magma cubes, wither skeletons, spiders, cave spiders, silverfish, and endermites will all now hit other mobs if they are attacked. So that's really cool. You can have some nice monster fighting arenas and maybe use some of the scoreboard team features to pit the monsters against each other. Now, knockback with mobs has been changed a little bit. If you knocked a mob into the air, mostly with the knockback enchantment, it will not change their Y-axis speed for flying and falling mobs, and I think this might affect TNT cannons and things like that, so be careful with launching monsters all over the place. It might not work how it used to in previous versions. Now, a lot of mobs can no longer spawn inside of blocks that would block movement but are transparent, kind of like leaves and things like that, and a bunch of rails. All of the mobs will not spawn inside of them now and get caught, so you don't have to worry about that. Redstone repeaters, all those good things. Torches. Skeletons will now no longer find shade in the sun if they're wearing a helmet, so they won't bother to run under shade if they've got that helmet to protect them from damage. And you saw this little baby zombie dinnerbone here. He's been fixed. They used to suspend in the air if you had an upside down baby zombie. It just didn't work right. And also, if you put a helmet or a mob head, things like that, just mob heads actually, on top of baby zombies, it would like float in the air weird, and they have fixed that as well. Now, the Ender Dragon will no longer teleport through nether portals or end portals, so you can't, surprise pop him into another dimension. And he can also no longer ride anything or have status effects. So because of the tipped arrows, I think they wanted to address that. You can't make a fireproof dragon or, I think they're already kind of fireproof. Stuff like that. You can't use your tipped arrows against them, or you can, but you're not going to get the extra effect of the tipped arrow potion effects on a dragon. You can no longer stick them into minecarts and have them go around as well, because that was very buggy. So they took that out. Unfortunately, that might mess up a few things in maps. Withers can no longer go through the nether portals or end portals as well. Endermen will no longer pick up blocks when they're behind walls, so you don't have to worry about them sneakily stealing your blocks and things like that. And they've also fixed the bug where they lose the ability to dodge melee attacks after being hit. So Endermen are going to be a lot more fearsome now that they won't just kind of let you smack them after you hit them once. That was a major bug with their combat. Now horses, this is a big thing. They will now rotate with the player. They're not super stuttered in their movement. You can really see it in third person. They move along with the player very easily. I know his head's wobbling, but it looks a lot better than it used to, trust me. If you remember how horses would kind of move at weird angles, they wouldn't angle themselves with players. And you also probably saw here, look, you can see the horse's health even in creative mode. So you can see how much health your horses have even if you're messing around and you're not in survival. Now snow golems, if you guys have messed around with them before, you might have peeked under, there we go, peeked under their little pumpkin and seen that they have a secret face that they originally used, but then they added the pumpkin on to go with their crafting recipe. Now, if you use shears on a snow golem, it will remove the durability off the shears, but it will also remove the pumpkin, and you get this beautiful visage with the little coal pieces misplaced. They're not even or anything, but he looks adorable. You cannot put the pumpkin back on, so make sure you want this pretty little guy in your life before you shear off that pumpkin head, because they're stuck like that until they die. Now, so they look a little bit better. And also, if you have the mob griefing game rule on false, the one that makes it so that creepers can't blow things up, stuff like that, the snow golems will not leave that little trail of snow under them when they move around. So if you want to have these guys running everywhere, but you don't want them to leave snow, then there you go. You can see he's not leaving a trail under him as well. Now creepers, if you have mob griefing or mob loot set to off, they won't drop those music discs anymore, and silverfish will no longer go into blocks if mob griefing is off. Lots of little things they fixed. Iron golems actually are way better now as well. The snow golem's got that cute little buff to making them look even weirder, but the iron golems will no longer have any knockback if you spawn one after the 15W46A snapshot, so you gotta make a new one, but it will not suffer any knockback, meaning they can defend themselves much better against groups of zombies and keep your villages safe. They have 100% knockback resistance. Now shulkers, they have added sounds, which we'll get into. You can see all of the new sound effects that I will cover a little later in the video, but they also drop experience now, so it's worth fighting shulkers and not just avoiding them when you're in the end cities. And Elder Guardians are now able to drop fish again, like in 1.8, but they will not drop any fishing junk or treasure or anything, so it's not exactly worth killing the Elder Guardians, but you might need to if you want to harvest the stuff out of those ocean monuments. Now wolves, you can see this little guy, he's freshly tamed, and he has the red collar again. They fixed the bug where they had orange collars by default. They now have their typical red collar from the old days. Over here, we've got a few blocks here. Oh, I also want to mention a bug with wolves. There's a thing where tamed wolves will, oh geez, because I hit him, he's going after him. Okay, buddy, chill out. Oh no, he's dead. It's all right, we don't need him for this. There's a bug when you had a tamed wolf, and it would attack you when a wild wolf is hurt, so your tamed wolves would turn on you, which was not a good thing, but they fixed that as well. Now, before I get into this stuff, actually, I don't want to forget, we've got this pen full of rabbits to talk about, and I mentioned they're even cuter than before. They've got a lot of differences. They are much smaller. They've been shrunken down. A lot of this mirrors the changes to Pocket Edition, or the Windows 10 version if you've played that. So their health has been reduced quite a bit. You'll see if I hit one of these guys, they will die very quickly and also panic when they get that little knockback from being too close with the sweep attack. So yeah, they used to have 5 hearts, but now they only have 1.5, so they're a lot easier to take down, as you can see. Sorry, little guy. So they're faster when they panic, as you saw when I did that sweep attack. The others were all panicking and running around. They're a lot faster, and they can get away a bit easier. They don't even look like they touch the ground. That's how small they are and how fast they're moving. Now, non-killer rabbits, you know, the rare killer rabbit, this applies to everything but those. They will avoid players if you are within 8 blocks of them. They'll try to get away from you, once they notice me here. They'll all try to run away, and they'll also avoid most hostile mobs within 4 blocks, except for slimes, magma cubes, and gas. And they'll move a bit faster when they're avoiding stuff as well. So they try to stay away from people if they can. They know people are, going around trying to hit them with a sword, things like that. They have a lesser avoidance against wolves, though, and we could drop a wolf in here if you guys want to. This will be horrible, but we'll see the effects of popping a wolf down in a rabbit pen. They'll try to get away from wolves only when they're within 10 blocks of them. It used to be 16. They don't have as much awareness of wolves. You saw a flash of his killer eyes as he's taking down these bunnies. Run, little rabbits! They're not doing it, though. They're just, their AI has been improved pathfinding-wise, but they don't seem to worry too much about wolves. They're all huddling together. Okay, so yeah, now they'll avoid wolves only when they're real close to them, and some of them don't seem to think about it at all. There's a chance to drop their little rabbit's feet that they'll occasionally drop. It's a 10% chance now. I don't know if I can get one here. We're getting a lot of meat and hide. But now there is a 10% chance plus 3% per the level of looting that you're using on your weapon. Used to be only a 2.5% chance, so it's much more common to find those rabbit feet and craft those leaping potions if you want. Now they will only spawn in certain biomes, including deserts, flower forests, taiga, mega taiga, cold taiga, ice plains, ice mountains, ice plain spikes, and hills and M variants of all those biomes. But even in these biomes, they will spawn quite a bit less than they used to. It's actually less than half the amount of rabbits will spawn in the biome. But you can see they can still have their little babies and everything. And this is really cool. Their skin actually is dependent on biome. You won't see just random rabbit skins. So if you're in a snowy biome like this ice plains, 80% will be white and 20% will be black and white. If you're in a desert, they will be 100% golden rabbits. And then otherwise, you saw in this pen, we had that mixture of, the wolf just took down the last one, but there's a mixture of 50% brown, 40% salt and pepper, and 10% black rabbits between them. And when you are breeding the rabbits, there's actually a 5% chance that the baby will match the biome that you're in rather than the color of the parents' coats. So they'll kind of adapt to where they're living. This is a weird bug that I noticed when you teleport around. These leads tend to stretch off and just glitch out into who knows where, somewhere down in that cave. I don't know why they were attached over here, but there's another bug to be fixed in 1.9. Rabbits no longer prefer begging for food to mating, so they will mate before they worry about getting carrots from you. And then also with crops, in the past they would try to eat those little carrots and just get rid of them really quickly. Now they only eat them in stages, so they'll kind of diminish the crops stage by stage until it is almost gone. So you don't have to worry about them destroying your carrots too easily, but still keep an eye on that when those rabbits are around. Now boats, we just got these little paddled improved boats not too long ago, and the dark oak boat can now be crafted finally. That was a weird glitch for a while, and they'll drop their corresponding wood type when they're broken, so you don't just get the oak boat and things like that. So maps have been changed. They've actually been reverted back to the way they were in the past. So if you get a new map, it is now 1-to-1 scale. So one little thing is one pixel on here, one block, and you can no longer use the shears to zoom in on a map. So once you zoom out, it is stuck like that. I don't know why they removed that. That was a new feature in 1.9 where you could, cut your map away to zoom in on it, but for whatever reason they backpedaled on that. Didn't exactly make sense, but it was nice to be able to mess with your maps a little more. So they basically function like they do in 1.8. Now, if you have a command like set block here, and you're not looking at a block and you push tab to complete it, it will add these little tildes, which means it'll set it to right where you're at. So it's a lot faster to type commands like that. There's also a new game rule for spawn radius, and you can see it here. This will control how far away from the spawn point players can spawn. So if you want to have like a random map with players spawning all over the place, you can increase that. It's a 10 block radius by default, but you can set that up if you want. And then also, we'll get into this more in a second, there's a lot to talk about with sounds, but play sound has an autocomplete when you hit tab, so you can do stuff with just fixing what sounds you want a lot faster without having to look it up. It's all in the game now. So beacons over here, the effect duration used to only be 9 seconds, but now it is 9 seconds plus 2 seconds for every level of the pyramid you have, so you can increase how long those effects last on you. And also, if you were to back out of this beacon, anything that you had in the little slot here will pop up and drop for you, so you don't have to worry about losing anything like that. Experience is now collected in the middle of the player rather than in your face, so you can see it kind of zooms into my belly button there. But that was adjusted because it was kind of like a bug where it could possibly trigger epilepsy and things like that if you get a lot of experience all flying all in your face. Like if you beat the dragon, I'm sure a lot of you have experienced that, where the experience is blinding, and they fixed that, so now it doesn't go into your head, it's in your belly. Blocks no longer drop experience when you have do tile drop off in the game rules. You put it to false and you don't have to worry about blocks dropping experience like coal and things like that. Farmland, if you have a small mob like a rabbit, I keep looking over there, but there's only dead rabbits. That's what I get for putting a wolf in there. So anything that's a mob that is smaller than 0.512, or like half a block size, will not stomp on farmland and destroy it. So that includes rabbits, chickens, bats, ocelots, wolves, cave spiders, endermites, silverfish, small slimes, small magma cubes, and every version of baby mobs that is currently in the game. So now you don't have to worry, especially with rabbits, if they're trying to get in your carrots, they might just stomp them out normally, but that has been fixed, so you don't have to worry about that. Now buckets, if you have a filled bucket and you want to place it over snow, it used to hover over it, but now it just completely destroys the snow layer, so you don't have to worry about that at all. It'll get rid of it for you and then replace it. There's a lot of different bugs that they fixed with like replacing things as well. Iron bars look much better. They've replaced the texture here, so it's got more of an edge around it. It doesn't look all glitchy. It actually has a nice frame and it looks great. Now redstone has its own little hitbox. You can see here, if I'm looking at a block like this grass block, you can zero in on the redstone to get rid of that rather than accidentally breaking the block instead, or vice versa. And it actually changes depending on how the redstone is laid. So you can see there's like this one here that's slightly smaller, and these little thin ones, and this one is a little bit different as well. A bunch of different hitboxes now depending on how the redstone is laid down. Armor stands, when you're in survival at least, will wobble a bit when you hit them before they break. There we go. We can pick that up and just barf it out. So yeah, you can see them kind of shake a little bit when they're ready to break as well. Shields, if you're going to craft a shield and you have a banner you want to put on it, it will now eat up the banner to put it on the shield, which makes sense, but it's a little bit tougher to have a banner pattern and make a ton of shields with one of those. It used to give it to you back, so I kind of want them to go back with that, but I guess it makes sense. And speaking of banners and signs, you can now replace blocks such as grass by clicking the top of it with a banner or a sign instead of accidentally, putting it on top of it or messing with it. It'll work with grass, so you don't have to get rid of all the grass if you want to throw these down everywhere as well. And if you pick block on a banner, you can get the actual color of the banner here. If you pick one of them, let's see if I can. There we go. Gotta hit the bottom. The top doesn't count. The hitbox is so weird on these. But yeah, if you pick it, it will actually give you the right color of the banner instead of just giving you one generic one. It used to give you the black banner every time. Ocean monuments now require a 16-block square radius of a deep ocean biome, not just a single deep ocean block. So you wouldn't see a ocean monument spawning just weirdly in one little deep ocean block and just messing up a coast and things like that. So that is going to be out of the picture for 1.9. As fun as those weird little glitchy things are, they fixed that, luckily. Now, skins had some glitches. If you have different layers, like I've got my little weird hair dollop thing on the top there. If you had overlays like the hat, jacket, sleeves, and pants things that like in skin customization here, that would actually render the semi-transparent pixels wrong. So you would have to worry about those getting in the way, but they have fixed that. So you can kind of have like partially transparent things on your skin. You can do a lot more with the complexity of your skin. So that is a nice little bug fix there. Daylight sensors will no longer emit a signal when they are properly covered, at night. So I was just scrolling my list. There's so many features. So if you have a daylight sensor and it is properly covered, it won't emit a little thing. You can kind of barely see it here when it's There we go, going back on. It has to be it's like Schrodinger's daylight sensor. Is it on or is it off? We don't know unless we look inside the box there. So yeah, that's been fixed. Tripwires, you can now have them as long as they're linked over different styles of solid or open blocks. So before, if this was like this, it wouldn't connect, but because it's been fixed, so now you can have like a pit there and it'll still connect even if there's a solid block in the way of the tripwire. And jungle trees, the leaves will no longer replace blocks other than air or leaves when they're generating a tree, so there's some glitchiness with it replacing other things that it wasn't supposed to. Arrows will now bounce off of creative mode players. If I can catch this, you guys can see it. There we go. Bounced right off of me. Instead of going straight through, it will bounce off of you. So that's a nice little thing. Shears will now lose a durability when used to break a block. They only used to lose durability when you broke leaves, cobwebs, grass, vines, tripwire, and wool. But now if you break any block in survival, they should lose a bit of durability there. So they aren't just this infinite thing that you can use to dig and stuff like that. And cobwebs, you no longer need silk touch to get these. Just break them with shears, and there we go. Much easier to get cobwebs if you're going to decorate and you don't have a full inventory. But there you go. You can now use your shears and not have to get that very rare enchantment to do so. Cacti will now break if lava is adjacent to it. So if I open this up, you guys can see, as soon as the lava gets next to it, that thing is gone. So yeah, just be careful if you're placing any cactus traps or anything like that around lava. Crops and netherwort will now change their hitboxes as they grow. So just like the redstone, they're going to have different hitboxes depending on the size, so it's a little more accurate as well. Doors, you can now replace them on a different part of the block. So wherever you want this little spine here to be on the door, the bolts and everything, you can just click that side of the block, and that's the way it will be facing. But if there's another door already, it doesn't matter where you click it because it will link with the door handles there to make it look right. So yeah, it's a nice way to just, determine which way you want your door to look. Just click on one side of the block or the other to flip it around. Now, Elytra, the new flying wings that we got, had a few different tweaks to it. You will take more damage when you fly into a wall with these on now, so you got to be extra careful if you're gonna fly haphazardlessly into a wall. Let's get up a little bit and try this out. Here we go. Whoa! I thought I had my wings on, but I wasn't flying there. Let me get up a little higher and drop down, and then we'll do it. But yeah, if you fly into a wall, you'll take more damage than you used to. It's not letting me fly. Weird. So yeah, and then also some other bugs with it. It will now, it won't go invisible anymore, which is weird. It used to go invisible when you had a invisibility potion, but it does not do that anymore. So you might see some wings just flying through the sky, and you'll know a player is there. So you have to be a little bit more careful. You can't just stealthily fly in your factions, battles and things like that to invade bases. And also, there's a new statistic that tracks aviate 1 centimeter. It tracks the distance you fly and glide with your Elytra. Now, fire has more chance of going out. You got to be careful with fire, obviously, because you can burn down so many things, but it now has increased chance of going out in rain, increased by 20, so it's now 20% plus 3% per how long it's been around. So pretty quickly when it's raining, it will disappear. You don't have to worry about fire burning stuff down too fast in the rain. Lily pads have been changed a little bit. Let me get rid of some of this stuff here. Lily pads now have a more accurate hitbox, as you can kind of see. It's just above that, and they've been fixed to be not as high. And then also items were like bouncing off of lily pads, but it's still kind of bounced off a little bit, but it's not bouncing back and forth like it used to. And mobs will now walk on lily pads again. They kind of had a fear of walking on them for a little bit, and he should jump in the water here if he's got any brains in that skull. All right, but yeah, the lily pads are not as glitchy as they used to be, so that is a nice addition. Pistons, you can do some cool decorative stuff with them now a little bit, like place a flower on top. But yeah, you can put anything on top of a piston pretty much like it's a solid block, as long as it is in one of these states where it's flipped upside down or kind of normal or extended. You can still put things pretty much like an upside-down staircase or a top slab, so you can use it to decorate, but be careful, because sometimes you can, flick things and then it readjusts the block state, throws your lever off, and nobody wants that. But yeah, and also mobs can spawn on them now because of that new addition, so be careful. If you got a room full of pistons thinking that monsters won't attack you because of that, that is going to be a thing that you have to worry about now. So I showed this before, but in the redstone tab, you can now find trap chests again. So they're not decorative blocks, they are actually redstone related, which makes more sense. Projectiles like snowballs, eggs, arrows, ender pearls, bottles of enchanting, things like that, they are now affected by the thrower's motion. So this is kind of weird, but you can kind of get up a little bit of run speed and throw something a bit farther, or shoot an arrow if you're moving farther than you used to be able to than in the old versions of the game. It's affecting it by having you actually influence that. So if you're going sideways, it's a little hard to tell. It seems pretty subtle, but if you're going sideways, the arrow should kind of like fly over a little bit. See, it kind of like zoomed a little bit. It's hard to tell. And also, if you're going forward really fast, it should shoot the arrow farther than it would before. So yeah, that's a nice little addition. So if you want to put your minecart mini games and things like that that actually affect arrows and projectiles, you get to some cool stuff with that you couldn't in the past. And then also the arrows specifically themselves, if you have a shield that you're blocking with, or if you're the dragon and you're actually like sitting and trying to breathe that dragon's breath all over a player, they will bounce the arrows off of you as normal. You don't have to worry about the arrows doing damage in those situations, but when they bounce, if they maintain 0 momentum, like say they bounce off and fall straight down, then they will turn into items occasionally, so you could just pick them up instead of having to worry about them becoming useless and not using them again. And shulkers, there's a bug with them. They now deflect arrows on all sides, including their top. They used to not be able to deflect certain things like that. The little fireballs, like our fire charges here, they actually have a difference to them now. When they're shot by blazes, they used to damage other blazes and things like that. So any fire immune entity, it will not anger or damage them. So if blazes hit each other, they're not gonna make each other mad, now that all that monster infighting has been increased between a bunch of the different monsters out there. So the sweep attack, I mentioned this earlier when we were whacking rabbits. The sweep attack, you know how if you hit something with this, and I'm sorry, Mr. Snow Golem, it does the little sweep as long as you're grounded and not really moving, and it will knock back anything that is really close. So let's throw a few skeletons here, and I'll try to show you guys the sweep attack. It will shoot things and knock back anything that's close enough to it. So it'll be a little harder to get close to you with the new combat, as long as, we talked about this before, but yeah, if you got a group of zombies on you, maybe try to use that sweep attack to keep them away from you and knock back the others. There you go. But the big change to the sweep attack that I wanted to mention is that it now does half a heart of damage to everything caught up in that sweep with the knockback. So it's not just for keeping them away, it will eventually kill the other mobs that are caught up in there. It just does very little damage, but at least it's doing some damage to keep them off of you and rack up little hearts as well. And one more thing with the bows, the infinity enchantment, if you have that on a bow, then it will no longer affect tipped arrows and spectral arrows. So you can't just have one of these and then and use infinity with them, because they are special and they're meant to be kind of rare and powerful, having those potion effects. The end portal, it has a very, very, very small chance here. This was previous in the game, but it is that's 9 zeros, and it has that 0.0001 chance of spawning the end portal complete with all 12 Eyes of Ender in there. But in the past, it wouldn't actually activate. You would have to, put a new one in there, and it would be kind of glitchy. But now it will activate, and you can go to the end if you find one of these very, very rare end portals without ever going to the nether. You can go straight into the end. This is mainly a thing for someone, if they can find the right seed. You could probably speedrun Minecraft and defeat the dragon very quickly if you're able to find the right seed with that very rare chance. So hopefully, if someone finds that, they'll share that with me, because that'd be interesting to see. Now, exhaustion, previously when you're, running around, walking, doing anything, you will be getting rid of your food, your little hunger bar. But now if you're sneaking, you can actually only increase your exhaustion by half as much as walking. So it actually pays to sneak around if you're going to be moving. You don't use as much energy as normal running around. The Frost Walker enchantment, you guys saw this in previous snapshots. It is new, and it will allow you to walk on the water by creating ice. Now, previously, it would work on armor stands. If you put these boots on an armor stand, it would cause this little enchantment to function. So that was really strange, but they got rid of that. And now it actually will allow you to, when you're standing on ground, regardless of whether the ground is a solid block or not, it will activate. And I'm not sure exactly what this means, but I think it might mean like semi-transparent blocks, like it'll still activate if you're standing on leaves and stuff. Luckily, it does not kill anything in the water, like that little squid. But yeah, so they kind of fine-tuned a bunch of the Frostwalker functions. Lightning will no longer destroy your item frames, so you don't have to worry about that as well. So don't worry. Also, leash knots, paintings, and armor stands. Lightning used to destroy all of those, but now it won't anymore. Hoppers will now support loot tables, so if you want to use NBT tags, just like you would with chests, to kind of put custom loot in hoppers for maps and things like that, you can do that as well. And then last but not least, before we get into the bug fixes and the sounds over there, then I wanted to talk about a few different little enchantment things here, the little potion effects. They have some new icons. So regeneration, still that giant heart. Health boost now has these little hearts next to it to differentiate them. And then absorption has this gold little outline here. So they each have their own thing. They're not just the giant heart or whatever. So they look different, so you can tell them apart, which is nice. And then last but not least, nausea will stop instantly, the nausea effect, if you clear your potion effects with milk or with commands. So you don't have to suffer that any longer than used to. Alright, so we're going to finish up here with all of the little bug fixes. Real quick, just run down some of the more interesting and important ones and funny ones as well, and then we'll do these sounds. So mobs used to glitch out in fenced areas or fall into blocks and suffocate, things like that. If you have a farm, this is a very important bug that they fixed here, because it will stop all the little animals from pushing each other into blocks and suffocating each other. Fishing particles used to show up on land, so if you're fishing in like a very small little block of water, like I've got over here with the lily pad, they would show up in the land really weird, but they fixed that as well. Mushrooms used to take damage when they jumped in enclosed spaces, I guess because they're mushrooms, they were breathing out of their mushrooms on their back, but now they don't anymore. Iron golems will no longer ignore baby zombies. They'll go after them as well to help protect your village from those little toddling terrors. Villagers would only replant crops with potatoes in the past, but now they'll use different types of crops when they replant things. In multiplayer, clocks in item frames would not tell time correctly, but they will now. So also the lingering potions, I mentioned the tipped arrows and things before, but lingering potions, you can extend them and give them different levels and things now with redstone or glowstone, which is nice. And tipped arrow effects are no longer applied even when you were blocking. You used to hit someone with a tipped arrow, even if they blocked it with a shield, and still hit them with that potion effect. Shields were not treating the shulker projectiles correctly, and they wouldn't prevent fireball damage from fire, but shields have been improved quite a bit now, so use them against shulkers and fireballs with blazes. There was a error with the subtitles that would actually mess with with people. It said fire cackles instead of fire crackles, but they fixed that little spelling error, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. There's no witches hiding in the fire. It used to rain crazy often since 1.7.2, but they fixed that, so rain is nowhere near as common. That is a big one. Whenever I'm building stuff in snapshots and setting up, it would just rain constantly. I always have to do weather clear, and then I do a million to try to keep it clear as long as possible, especially since my little snow golem buddy over there, he's dead now, but he would die in the rain. Third person view, if you were to go into an enclosed spot, it would actually revert to first person, but doesn't do that any longer. It does kind of mess with the camera angles a little bit when you're in here, but it will no longer revert to first person as soon as you have blocks over your head. Looks a little crazy, but at least it's consistent. So you got that also would happen when you're like riding a horse through a block and things like that. And the first person camera, it's very strange, but it used to be positioned behind the center of your head when you're looking in first person, but now they moved the camera forward a little bit to be where your eyes are, because it would warp certain blocks and things from your perspective to have your eyes positioned back. That's a very strange bug, but it's nice that they fixed it. Most people probably wouldn't notice. You couldn't pick block before on the Ender Dragon egg, but you can now, so if you want to copy the Ender Dragon egg, go for it. In creative, punching cake, used to eat it. I'm a little sad that one's gone, but it's nice that they have some consistency with eating. You can't just punch things to eat it. Squid and gas were unaffected by levitation effects, so now if you want to get a shulker to shoot a squid or a ghast, it will fly away into the sky. That's a nice little addition. Shulkers used to teleport into other shulkers and take damage and things like that. They don't do that anymore. Cauldrons that were above the snow level on biomes would still fill with water even if it was snow. So they fixed that bug as well. A few more things, almost done, guys. Villagers used to stand outside and just open and close doors randomly, but they fixed that, so they'll be a little bit smarter now and go inside instead of just opening and closing doors. Crazy. And then they also go outside more often. Sometimes they would just be shut-ins. I know we've all been there. Villagers holed up playing their video games, but now they will go outside more often. Mobs would go into a cauldron and never leave. A very scary urban legend for monsters to tell each other, but now they can actually exit, so you can't really trap chickens in cauldrons anymore like you used to be able to. And then last but not least, there was a weird feature with cobwebs in some of the previous snapshots where you could throw items into it, like a throwing item, like your bottle of enchanting. It would get caught in the cobweb and drop as the item, and you used to be able to use that. It was a feature, but I think they took it out because witches would throw their potions into cobwebs and you could get free potions that way. So they fixed that. That's kind of a fun little thing, but they had to revert it so no one just got tons of free potions. All right, guys, this is it. We're in the home stretch. Thank you so much if you held out this long with me. We're going to show all of the new, or rather, listen to all of the new sound effects that are included in 1.9. I will turn the volume up, cut the music, and be quiet here. I will read them out, though, and I'll kind of play them a few times so you guys can hear it. You will hear the pressure plate as well click, but most of these sounds you should still be able to hear well over that. So here we go. This is the new Experience Orb Pickup and Touch. It's a little bit higher. It's kind of higher pitched. Same sound. And then also when an arrow hits a player, also the same sound. This is messing with me because these are the first three I put here. And I was like, are they all the same sounds now? Here we have the leash knot when you break it. Nice little sound there. Very fulfilling when you break your leashes. The armor stands have placement, falling, standing when you hit it, and breaking sounds. And I'll go through all these. They're a little bit quieter. There we go. Kind of sounds like a button. And then falling. Hitting and breaking are much louder. There we go. You can kind of hear them starting to crumble. And then they fall apart. All right. Exciting stuff. Okay, now we're into the cool stuff. Shulkers, they have sound effects. So do witches. We'll get to witches here. But here's the ambient shulker sounds. It's a bit louder. Sorry about that. I just picture them waggling their tongue. This is when the shulker closes. Closes its shell. When they're hurt, when it's closed. Yeah, very just kind of like, oh, they're protected. Here's the death sound. Got a few different ones. There we go. And then when their bullets hit you, very quiet. And then when their bullets hurt, there we go. They get exploded when you attack them. There's a bunch of new sounds when you hit different players as well. So we have all these attack sounds. This is when you parry or you have no damage. So it's kind of quick sound there. Critical attack. Knockback. Strong attack. And then over here, we've got a bunch of other ones. We've got the sweep attack. You guys heard that. You're sweeping out those zombies. Weak attack. And then shields when they block. Nice fulfilling, almost like a zombie breaking down a door. There we go. Now the witches, just like the shulkers, they finally have sounds now. They've got an ambient sound, an idle. A couple different ones. There we go. Yeah, a couple different labs and things like that. We've got the death sound. Poor little witch. Sounds like a villager, but that makes sense. When they drink their potions. And when they throw the potions. Sounds like they're smacking at us with their claws or something. Alright, and then when they're hurt. Just kind of an evil villager sound, so that makes sense. When the killer rabbit attacks. Listen for that. And be careful. Terrifying. When horses eat. Keep your hands away. Sounds very strange there, but it works. When you complete brewing. So your potion's done. We've got boat placement, which it sounds silent right now. Don't think it makes a noise. They'll probably add that one later. We've got if you hit someone with thorns or a guardian. Sounds like a little toot, but I'll take it. The furnace fire, when you have that going, your furnace, it will crackle. It's very subtle. You can kind of hear it. I have a furnace here, pre-placed, so you can kind of listen to it happening a little more actively if we listen. There it is. Very soothing, like the Yule log for Christmas. All right, and the lily pad placement. Gross little wet lily pad there. When you milk a cow, that's what it sounds like. When you, these are strange. It says hanging place and hanging pop. I don't know exactly what they mean here. This is how you do the play sounds if you're curious, but they seem to be silent. Yeah, just the pressure plate there. We've got a bunch of item frame ones. These are nice because you can hear them a lot when you mess with item frames. So this is when you add an item. So you heard that there. And then over here, almost done, we've got the item frame breaking. And then we have the placement of the frame. There we go. Very similar. Removing the item from the frame. That's when you pop it there. And then when you rotate it. So you can hear this one here. There we go. And then over here we have one more for the leash when you place it down. There we go. Sounds like a zipper. We've got when you place a painting and break a painting. Some of these sound like wetter than I would think. Like the painting sounds like someone just finished painting it. And it's like moist. Alright, and then we've got snow golems ambient sounds. The snow golems also have some sounds. They don't seem to make any sounds when they're idle. Nope. And then when you hurt them, got that snow sound. And then when they die, they crumble. Squid also got sounds. We've got the ambient. Ooh. They're recharging their ink. We've got hurt. Very squishy. And then death. Poor squids. And then armor, when you put it on, this is not when you put it on in your inventory. It's when you actually right-click the armor to put it on. So if I was to right-click, you can hear it get put on that way. So this is when you click with it to equip different types of armor. We have chain, diamond, generic armor. So I don't know what this is going to be, but might actually be when you put on a mob skull or something like that. So if I was to right click with this, I don't think you can put it on this way though. Yeah, you couldn't do it that way. So I don't think it has a thing. It's just kind of in here right now, the generic one. We've got gold armor. And then iron armor. A little more clinky. And then leather is the last one. Over here we've got when you fill up a bottle. Very fulfilling sound. Makes you have to tinkle. And then we also have one for dragon breath specifically, but it doesn't make any noise. So maybe later on again, it'll be added when you fill a water bucket and when you fill a lava bucket. A little more clunky. And then when you empty the water bucket, we all have to empty the water bucket occasionally, and then empty the lava bucket. Number 1 and number 2. Over here we've got chorus fruit teleportation. Just like an Enderman when we teleport around. And then a few more here. We're almost done. When you till the ground with the hoe, you can hear it. And then when you flatten the ground to make a path with the shovel. Slightly different. Another one that sounds very wet. And then last but not least, when the chorus flowers grow and when they die, when you crumble them. They're very eerie. That's going to make the end even eerier. All right, thank you guys so much. Look at those leads. They're going through the whole world, all the way over here. Thank you guys so much for being patient with me. We have covered the last handful of snapshots. We might get a few more before 1.9 is out, but I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you will continue watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time for more Minecraft 1.9 snapshot updates. Goodbye. My wings!